Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Shen Liangshou could sense the primal qi in his Dantian sea of qi had been destroyed by that peculiar arrow. He was frightened and in pain. After he said the word yield, he spat out another mouthful of blood. He struggled as he sprawled on the ground for a while before he finally calmed down. Lu Zhou raised a hand, and several energy blades flew toward Shen Liangshou. Bam! 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 The energy blades hit Shen Liangshou's meridian points. His pain subsided almost immediately. He wiped the sweat off his face, his arrogance and anger from earlier had completely vanished. Bian, who had finished showing off his might, flew in a circle in the sky before it landed again. The ones who were left standing in Shenvilla were only mortals and low-rank cultivators. Lu Zhou glanced at Bian, thinking that the mount was rather interesting. It was smart enough to pick targets who would reward him with high merit points. He checked the system dashboard. To his dismay, he only gained 200 merit points. The path of earning merit points by killing Divine Court realm targets or below was extremely slow. Meanwhile, Steward Zhou and Feng Ping lay on the ground, unmoving. They had completely lost the ability to fight. Shen Liangshou sat up. He rubbed his eyes. When he saw Bian with its terrifying appearance, he instinctively shrunk back. Lu Zhou stroked his beard, shook his head, and asked, "When did you start this shady business?" Shen Liangshou wiped the sweat off his face and said, Old, mister, I am merely trying to make a living. I've only just started." Lu Zhou was not interested in that. After all, it had nothing to do with him. "Tell me about the situation in this city." Little Yuan found a chair from the room and placed it behind Lu Zhou like a sensible child. Lu Zhou sat down and regarded Shen Liangshou calmly, ready to interrogate him. Shen Liangshou was no longer in pain. However, when he recalled what happened earlier, he was still overwhelmed with fear. He gulped before he asked, "The situation in the city?" Lu Zhou stroked his beard as he waited for Shen Liangshou's answer. Shen Liangshou considered it for a moment before replying, "Chaotic, extremely chaotic. Before your arrival, the members of the Nether Sect battled the city's garrison. There were many casualties." "What about the other tribes?" Lu Zhou asked. Shen Liangshou frowned when the other tribes were mentioned. There were many from Lulan and Roli from the western region. However, I don't know about the other tribes. It was understandable that Shen Liangshou did not know much about this. Otherwise, he would not even have a chance to do anything before Great Yan's imperial family swept in and took care of them. "Are these the only tribes?" Lu Zhou asked in slight confusion. "There are 5 nations in Rongxi and 7 in Rubii. They've always behaved themselves. Apart from Lulan and Roli, I've never heard about the presence of the other tribes here," Shen Liangshou answered truthfully. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. He began sorting through Ji Tiandao's memories. Since Emperor Yuan'er defeated Rongxi and Rengbei, Great Yan had attained the position of dominance. The other tribes in Rongxi and Rengbei reorganized themselves. From countless scattered nations, they formed the 5 nations of Rongxi and the 7 nations of Rengbei. These 12 nations had always existed in subservience to Great Yan. They paid tithes and offered their princesses for marriage alliances. These 12 nations did not lose their rebellious streak, however. They would frequently trespass upon Great Yan's borders over the most trivial of matters. The 4th prince, Liu Bing, spent most of his time at the borders to deter the nations, so they had been able to enjoy some peace as of now. "Where's the 4th prince, Liu Bing, now?" Lu Zhou asked. Shen Liangshou was shocked. He looked at Lu Zhou skeptically and replied, "I only heard that His 4th Highness led an army of 300,000 men and 5,000 cultivators. His troops are divided to defend the 10 cities of Liang province. I don't know which city he's currently in." 5 of Liang province's 10 cities are protected by formations, 5 of them aren't. His Fourth Highness won't put himself in harm's way. Zhou felt that Shenliangshu was honest enough. He stood up slowly, stroked his beard, and said, "Find out about this with your resources. If you do this well, I'll spare you." Shenliangshu was overjoyed to hear this. He hastily bowed and said, "At your service, old mister." That night, Shenliangshu could only stay in the villa. He did not stay far. He stayed in the room next to Zhou. It was a restless night for him. After losing his cultivation base, he spent his waking hours feeling worried that his subordinates might stab him in the back. In Liang province, the people would swallow you whole and leave nothing behind. There was no such thing as reason. Shenliangshu wanted to live even after his cultivation base was destroyed because he had a way to restore his cultivation base. Although it was a slightly difficult feat, he, at least, had hope. He was at the top of the whitelist after all. This title alone gave him the means to find a way to restore his Dantian Sea of Qi, such as the Sable Magnolia. However, before anything else, he had to come up with a way to protect himself. The safest place would be next to the old man. The next morning, Shenliangshu immediately sent his men to gather information from the 10 cities. He poured all his effort into this task. When afternoon arrived, Shenliangshu approached Zhou respectfully. "Old mister, I've had my men investigate the matter. His Fourth Highness is most probably in the city of Mo in the northern parts of Liang province." He dared not leave before he got a reply. After waiting for a moment, he heard a voice from inside the room. "Any movements from the Nether Sect? I heard that Zhenghai, the sect master of the Nether Sect master, and his 4 great protectors have gone to the city of Mo as well," Shenliangshu said with a sigh. "The Nether Sect has plunged the whole world into chaos. Zhenghai is also the Evil Sky Pavilion's first disciple. His cultivation base is terrifying. With him personally making a move, the 4th prince won't stand a chance even if he has powerful soldiers at his disposal. Continue your investigations." "Understood." Another day passed. On the 3rd day, Shenliangshu stood at the door and reported, "Old mister, there have been great changes in the 10 cities of Liang province. The Nether Sect has engaged the 4th prince in a battle. Both sides have suffered great losses. The 5 cities that aren't protected by formations are conquered by the Nether Sect overnight. I'm afraid they'll make their way here soon. Investigate some more." Shenliangshu bowed and left. On the 4th day, before the sky turned bright, Shenliangshu hastened to Zhou's door, unlike his usual behavior. He said, "Old mister, please leave Liang province's city now. Liang province city's formation is now under the control of the traitor. The Nether Sect has already breached the city gates." As soon as Shenliangshu finished speaking, the sound of thundering hooves resounded through the city. There were also groups of cultivators flying in the air. Smoke rose and billowed, and killing intent seemed to permeate the air. Liang province's garrison was being pushed back. 10 worlds avatars popped up in the streets as they advanced. Although they were not as powerful as 100 Tribulations Insight avatars, against cultivators in the Divine Court realm and below, the 10 worlds avatar was a potent killing weapon. The Nether Sect was in no short supply of these cultivators. The sweeping attacks from the Nether Sect captured or killed the individuals who resisted. Shenliangshu was fidgeting as if he had ants in his pants when a gust of wind blew above his head. Whoosh! 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 Dozens of cultivators appeared above the villa. "I am Yu Hong, the 2nd seed of Nether Sect's Azure Dragon Hall. Those who follow me will prosper, and those who resist will perish. Cultivators, step forward." The Nether Sect's mode of operation was to control its members with a hierarchy. Shenliangshu did not expect the Nether Sect to arrive here so soon. Now that he had lost his cultivation base, he had no way to defend himself. He was worried to no end. He looked at Zhou's room. Yu Hong glanced at Shenliangshu. "You're hurt." "Yes." Shenliangshu wanted to point at Zhou's room, but he was not bold enough. "Take him." Two cultivators descended from the sky and held Shen Liangshou in place. Creak. The doors opened. Lu Zhou emerged from the room with his hands on his back. He looked at Yu Hong, the Azure Dragon Hall's second seat, who was hovering in the air. Yu Hong gauged the aura of the old man. He shook his head and said, regardless of the person, we won't let anyone who opposes the Nether Sect go. At this moment, little Yuan ran out of the room. She pointed at Yu Hong in the air and said, watch your tone when you're talking to my master. Yu Hong was taken aback. Most cultivators would try to resist, this was especially true of elites in the nascent divinity realm and above. They usually had the support of their sections. Therefore, the Nether Sect chose to conquer the Clarity Sect, the Righteous Sect, and other major sections. They absorbed the various elites to intimidate other grand cultivators. This way, the other grand cultivators would not dare to make rash moves. Meanwhile, in Great Yen, the Nether Sect could focus its attention on dealing with the imperial family. As for the cultivators they encountered during the chaos, such as these people before Yu Hong, they would usually capture them to avoid any unwanted developments in the future. When things were calmer, they would release those who were supposed to be released and kill those who should be killed. Conquering a city was a cruel undertaking, after all. Wuya hatched this plan for the Nether Sect in hopes that no one would seize the opportunity to cause trouble. Yu Hong gauged the aura of the young lady who had suddenly appeared as well. He frowned. Early stage, nascent divinity realm? Why is there a nascent divinity realm cultivator in Liang province? In the end, he said, I'm Yu Hong, the second seat of Nether Sect's Azure Dragon Hall. I don't know why two of you are here in Liang province's city, but I would ask for your kind cooperation and follow my men. He had always respected experts. The Nether Sect's Yu Hong? Lu Zhou only knew about the four great protectors in general. He did not take much notice of them. In his opinion, these lesser characters were not worthy of his attention, after all. Yu Hong was not offended. He asked, do you not know about the Nether Sect, old mister? Little Yuan was just about to say something when Lu Zhou stopped her. This little girl can easily ruin things with her mouth. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and said, I know a thing or two. Yu Hong cupped his fists to his left and said, my sect master is the Evil Sky Pavilion's first disciple. He's also one of the rare 8-leaf elites in the cultivation world. The person Lu Zhou wanted to meet right now was Zhenghai or Wuya. Before he achieved that, he could not disclose too much information about himself. After muttering to himself for a while, Lu Zhou said, I'll go with you. Little Yuan. She really did not understand the thoughts in her master's mind. Was there a need for her master to do this? However, she knew her master had his reasons for everything he did. Therefore, she did not object and obediently followed Lu Zhou and stepped forward. Thank you for your cooperation. Lu Zhou, Little Yuan, and Shen Liangshou left the villa, being led by Yu Hong and his men. Meanwhile, Steward Zhou and Feng Ping, who were too injured to walk, were carried by ordinary sect members. By afternoon, the Nether Sect had successfully conquered Liang province's city. Lu Zhou, Little Yuan, and Shen Liangshou were sent to the reserve army encampment, where Liang province usually assigned its cultivators. Yu Hong accompanied them along the way. At the encampment, Lu Zhou saw about 50 cultivators in and below the Brahmin Sea realm. It seemed like Lu Zhou and Little Yuan had the most profound cultivation bases among the people here. It was no wonder Yu Hong gave them preferential treatment. As for Shen Liangshou, without his cultivation base, even the ordinary sect members had no trouble guarding him. Yu Hong said to Lu Zhou, don't worry. I'll have to ask you to bear with this for a few days. When we've conquered all 10 of Liang province's cities, you'll be released. Lu Zhou asked, can the Nether Sect conquer the city of Mo? Yu Hong replied with a hint of disapproval, why not? To tell you the truth, we have the Evil Sky Pavilion's Mr. 7th on our side. The Nether Sect will rule the world. It's only a matter of time. I remember that the city of Mo is guarded by the Coiling Dragon Formation. How are you going to deal with that? Yu Hong was taken aback. If this had happened at any other time, he would have struck the cultivator who doubted the Nether Sect. However, these two had profound cultivation bases, especially the little girl by the old man's side who seemed like an airhead but had a nascent divinity realm cultivation base. It was always better to appease these elites at pivotal moments such as this. So, he said with a smile, I believe in the sect master and Mr. Seventh's abilities. After he said this, he turned around and left. The other cultivators swarmed toward Lu Zhou and little Yuan after Yu Hong left. They gave Lu Zhou a thumbs up. I'm impressed. You're bold enough to speak to the second seat of the Nether Sect's Azure Dragon Hall with that tone. Old mister, we're merely outsiders. Why would you ask about those things? Be careful that you're not burned by the fire as well. That's right. We're well fed here. Let them fight their battles. I don't care who the world belongs to so long as I have food in my mouth. Clearly, most of the cultivators were indifferent about this. After all, who would dare to stand up under these circumstances? Who would dare to oppose the Nether Sect? Lu Zhou ignored these low-ranked cultivators. His goal was to capture Wuya and Zhenghai. He could not care less about other matters. He called up the system dashboard and inspected the mission column. Like before, apart from Yi Tianxin, Zhenghai and Wuya did not appear. The other 6 main missions were about instructing his disciples. Shen Liangshou, who was standing nearby, said with a sour expression, Old mister, about our agreement. I've always kept my words. Thank you, old mister. Shen Liangshou bowed. Lu Zhou no longer looked at him. He knew that Shen Liangshou wanted his protection by staying close to him. Now that dangers lurked in all corners of Liang Province's city, Shen Liangshou might lose his life. At dusk, a sound wave rolled across the entire camp. The other tribesmen have invaded. Those of the Nether Sect who are in or above the Brahmin Sea realm, follow me. Yu Hong flew past in his avatar. His 40-foot avatar was dazzling. The Nether Sect cultivators rose into the air immediately. They followed Yu Hong and flew toward the city walls in the north. Invasion from the other tribes? Shen Liangshou appeared shocked. Little Yuan saw the cultivators rising into the air and she clapped her hands excitedly. If this had happened in the past, she would have made a fuss about going to watch the show. She loved bustling scenes, but she was slightly anxious as well. When she remembered her master's admonishments, she immediately calmed down. Although she was a nascent divinity tribulation realm elite and the 9th disciple of the evil sky pavilion, she had never witnessed such a scene. She instinctively grabbed Lu Zhou's arm. Lu Zhou stroked his beard and said, There's no need to be afraid. He appeared calm, but inwardly, he mused that he should have brought Ming Shirin along as well. The little girl was inexperienced, after all. The others exclaimed in surprise. They pointed at the near 1,000 cultivators who were flying toward the other end of the city. It was a majestic sight to behold. The top of the city walls was already filled with cultivators. Someone sighed. Such is war. There's some who sighed and some who were amazed. Those who liked to watch a good show undoubtedly enjoyed this. At this moment, there were also many Nether Sect members who were running on foot in Liang Province's city. The ground shook as they ran through the streets. The general people were alarmed by this. Whiz. Whiz. A huge avatar appeared at the city walls. A 70-foot avatar. Heavens. A 6-leaf elite. The avatar's height surpassed the city wall. Although the man-made city was towering and majestic, it dimmed in comparison to a 70-foot avatar. The other tribesmen are here. The others looked at the sky in the north. Around the huge avatar, black figures were swarming around it like flies as they attacked the avatar. The avatar was moving toward Liang Province's city. They're from Roli. If there was a tribesman from Roli, it was only natural for there to be someone from Lulan as well. Shen Liangshou looked around himself and said, Old mister, the Nether Sect no longer has the time to care about us. This is a great chance for us to escape. Lu Zhou glanced at him and said nothing. Shen Liangshou wanted to leave very badly, but in his current state, he would be cut into a million pieces if he were to try to escape on his own. Someone said with a clear voice, 70-foot avatar. It must be one of the Nether Sect's 4 great protectors. It should be either Di Qing or Yang Yan. We can't see anything from here. Swoosh. 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 Some of them flew to the tops of the nearby buildings, and some flew to the treetops to watch.